My wonderful, beautiful, amazing Aquarius. I'm Gabriella from Gabriella's Vampire Tarot. Well, for today, I'm going to be doing your general love reading, your 5 card spread. But before I do that, I want to offer these 12 red roses as a token of my love and appreciation for your love, support, and devotion towards my channel. And thank you so much for joining me today as well. So this 5 card love reading includes, so the first card represents you, the second the other person, the third the relationship, the fourth the past, the fifth the future. Then I'm going to draw a vampire oracle for you, and then a favole and 1 card from the French tarot deck of the Tarot Interdit Vampiria. But let's get started with card number 1, which is for you, and I'm not allowed to show this card, but it's the 7 of Pentacles upright. Aha. Hesitancy. You know, I'm kind of getting mostly the ones who are in a current relationship right now, how you're kind of having now second thoughts and a bit of regret and buyer's remorse for that, in that sense of thinking, well, this whole relationship looked promising and beautiful from the start, but as time went on and stuff like that, I'm now starting to rethink. The product is there, the pentacles are there, but something is pretty much kind of holding you back. And sad but true, that's kind of a common theme that I've actually, experienced. I mean, not experienced, but I've witnessed other people, is, when, let's say how, these two people, they meet, and then finally, their first fledgling comes along, and suddenly the dynamic has changed. Suddenly, routine has changed. Their lives are changed. Everything is just new and different. And then suddenly you just start questioning, you start wondering, thinking, was this even the best decision to be making? And that's where a lot of problems from, all kinds of, chaos, starts, commencing afterwards. But you could also be in a current courtship as well, and pretty much also have second thoughts and doubts about, the person you're currently dating, man, woman, whoever. The point is you still have the freedom to decide whether or not you want to be with this person or leave them. But mind you, about any kind of person and relationship, there's no such thing as the perfect relationship in any way. So if there's any kind of hesitancy, I would definitely do a lot of like introspection, self-reflection, and just weigh out the pros and cons to actually verify which decision you want to be making. Do you want to stay with this person because the product is there? Or do you actually, just think, what, I've, experienced a couple of their little red flags, their mannerisms, a couple of other things, and I'm just not entirely committed to this person in any way. Yeah, I mean, it's 100% whatever you decide. No judgment ever coming from me, but it's personally what you personally want, wish, and dream and desire, and how you're going to go about it. Yep, because the other person, though, has the 6 of Grails. Now, this person is happy to be with you in other ways, if, and that's kind of the honest and sad truth, is sometimes one person loves the other person more than the other person reciprocates and stuff like that. And so this person is probably so happy and ecstatic to be with you, and happy that you guys married and courted and dated and stuff like that, because the 6 of Cups is a nostalgia card. It's like looking back and thinking, oh, I remember when this person, or when we met each other, or how we shared our first kiss, our first hug, our first words, whatever it was. This person loves you. This person pretty much just thinks you of everything, but yet you probably just maybe will think, okay, it's like, I love you and stuff like that, but there's a couple of things. If something is bothering you, if you really want to actually try to maybe fix something, is I would try to be honest and have open communications, because if this person feels a bit more happiness and you're actually feeling like you're, like, how's that go? How you pretty much feel like you're, actually, I don't know, whatever it's called. But the point is that you feel like that you're, goodness, what is that phrase called? Yeah, that you're compromising your own well-being, for that matter, is that you pretty much feel like you're doing a lot more in this relationship, and this person is saying, oh yes, I love everything is just grand and beautiful, and you just think, well, when is it going to be my turn? And she just probably, or he thinks, what are you talking about? I love this, why should I return the favor, or whatever, or I just gave you this in return, so why aren't you happy? The thing is relationships can be very beautiful and very euphoric and blissful, but they can also be a very problematic situation. But if you actually want to maybe do some improvement and maybe just have some open communication and express your maybe hesitancy about anything, because the relationship is a 6 of Pentacles, so there's definitely a give and take kind of feeling going on, but what would be causing the sense of hesitancy in other ways? What is holding you back? Why does the other person seem happier in this relationship than you? And that's kind of the honest truth that I've witnessed over hundreds of humans in this, my life and stuff like that, is that, one person seems to be happier and the other person just kind of goes along, thinks, well, whatever, I don't care, as long as I get this and that in return and blah, blah, blah. I mean, you would think that, with a relationship that should be based off of give and take with the Six of Pentacles, right? But it could also be how, you could also be in like, maybe feeling a bit somewhat skeptical about love and stuff like that. But then, well, you looked at the past and you actually probably thought, oh, I remember there were some, positive people, my past and stuff like that. And maybe you did actually, or, you pretty much still have your eyes focused on somebody in the past. And you hope it will actually turn into a give and take kind of Six of Pentacles relationship. Because in the past, you got the Ace of Wands. This is about putting time and effort into something. And it's about just thinking, okay, hypothetically, you put a lot of time and effort into your current relationship. And now you're pretty much just suffering with regret. Let's put it in, just a straightforward way of saying that, where you think, yep, I courted this person, I doted upon this person, I did everything it took just to be with this person, but now as the years went by, I'm just actually kind of getting bored, I'm getting frustrated, I'm getting irritated, I actually want my freedom back, I want to be able to have options and choices again. No judgment ever coming from me on whatever you wish, dream, and desire, because that's 100% whatever you want, wish, dream. I'm just your tarot guide reader, not here to judge. But here you are already putting time and effort into something, and so that's very beautiful if you are in a beautiful, long-lasting, committed relationship in other ways. You could have Aries, Leo, Sagittarius as personally, Taurus, Capricorn, Virgo, Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio in other ways, and of course with the Seven of Pentacles. Because in the future, I'm worried about this with the Nine of Swords. What could potentially lead to a nightmare situation? Are you worried that if you were to have open communication, that there could be a big and conflict, that's going to be erupting in other ways? Is that why you probably think, oh goodness, I'm just hesitant about maybe the big talk, I'm hesitant about anything and stuff like that? I hope it's not going to turn into some nightmare situation. Because the thing is, it's like, I've even come across a couple of humans, and right before, they're about to walk down the aisle towards the altar, like let's say the bride has, some kind of hesitancy, the bride is, gets cold feet and says, what, or even the groom, let's put both bride and groom is unhappy, because I was just only thinking about this female bride here, but let's think about both, is, either one, and, right before, the wedding, peace plays, you just think, I don't want to do this. Even though my family or my, in-laws paid for this big wedding and stuff like that, I don't feel like I should have to proceed with this, because there's hesitancy within you that's holding you back. Something is telling you to walk away. And sometimes our intuition is pretty much our best, guide in any way. Your gut instinct is practically like your second brain in a sense. If your stomach or if your tummy, doesn't feel well based off of something, it means that something needs to be looked at from a different angle, because otherwise if you proceed with something, despite hesitancy, it ends up in a nightmare situation. And that is something you'll have to look into. And that's why, it would be good to have open communication. It's, with whoever this person is. Or if you pretty much just think, goodness, I have my eyes focused on this person, and this person looks incredibly loving, caring, and I'm putting a lot of time and effort into this situation. And I'm worried that this is going to end up in a nightmare situation of me being alone as well. Again, it's like only time and opportunity will tell when it comes to these, situations. But if you're in a very problematic relationship, I would try to mitigate it and fix it as quickly as possible before it potentially ends in a Nine of Swords. Because Oracle says outsider, misfit, loner, and wanderer. So I feel like, if you're pretty much in a situation where you just think, okay, it's like, I have my eyes focused on somebody in the past and stuff like that. And I wonder, it's like, if I don't will put enough time and energy into something, I'm going to end up in as a misfit and loner and wanderer, and that would probably be your worst nightmare ever, is that you pretty much can't find companionship, or whoever you have your eyes on, it doesn't reciprocate, it's only a one-way street coming from that other person, or maybe even the other person could also be hesitant as well, because maybe that person has their own life, and maybe, while you're looking at them, they're pretty much just thinking, no, I need, or, any valid reason, just to, we'll put an end to any kind of potential relationships for that matter. But if you feel like that you could potentially be an outsider, misfit, loner, wanderer, the thing is sometimes it's way better to be in a single position than being in a problematic situation. But if you're worried about ever being lonely and stuff like that, the best way to go about it is to just try out different people, different areas, different locations, social gatherings and stuff like that and what have you. So then, eventually you might find, well, you have the same standard or equal or greater value in the end. Okay. Because you get the Ace of Swords of the Ace of Butterflies, putting time and effort into something. And it's interesting because you get the Ace of Wands and now you get the Ace of Swords. So here it's where you're finally going to be taking action because maybe you don't want to end up being a misfit loner or a wanderer anymore. But the best way to go about actually, heading out into the dating marketing field is to do a lot of self-development and healing and also self-improvement on so many ways. Because what draws a lot of humans, towards each other is when you're learning maybe a new skill, a new language. When things are being made, through commercials and stuff like that, saying, oh yeah, in about a year we're going to have this new building, people are intrigued. Or if you even change, your appearance, if you even, don't want to wear glasses, maybe try to wear contacts or even grow out your hair, shorten your hair, what is it, or style it, or wear nice clothes and stuff like that. That's kind of what I'm mostly getting here, is about putting time and effort into something. And that would actually be my suggestion, is if you want to actually market yourself, is turn yourself into this very strong, capable, high functioning, super, individual, this shiny beacon of drawing people towards you and stuff like that, because that is how a lot of people are going to be drawn towards you. So, Le Tarot Interdit, Vampiria wants to finish off with, if it will even allow me to draw a card. Come on now. As de Miroir. Ace of Cups in your future. There's new love on the rise for you, and that's what I like to see. It could be with a Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio. Maybe you personally have Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio placements, but there's new love heading towards you, new abundance, a new offering that's going to be taking place because you're the one that's going to also be putting time and effort. And if you don't want to be seen as a misfit, loner, or wanderer, it's all about the timing and it's all about the effort, and it's pretty much how you mostly market yourself so that you can eventually achieve this beautiful desired goal in the end. Okay. Well, my beautiful Aquariuses, I'm going to have to leave it at this for now. But if this reading resonated, please feel free to join and subscribe to my channel. I want to thank you all so much for joining me. I love you guys incredibly. In a few days, I'm going back to general readings. So for now, I'm just doing love in general. I'm also open for personal readings. If anybody out there is ever interested, please let me know in the comment section below. Because I have this webpage with the different types of prices on it for personal readings. If you're ever interested in them. Otherwise, well, thank you so much for joining me. Try to, do a lot of self-development, self-healing, self-care, self-improvement, and eventually, it's like you won't have to feel like you're an outsider or misfit anymore. Better than that, I love you guys incredibly.